it's my experience has been when I try to type anything in, then it just gets messed up. So I'll add that later. And if my thing will stop, show me. Oh, 12 participants. Okay, we got. Let me see if there's anybody else I need to let in as host. Okay, Susan. Where's Susan? Okay. All right. Well, anyway, hello everybody who has jumped on so far of our guests. We have a few panelists who we're just waiting on. And, but I want to welcome all of you. Thank you for being here. Susan, okay. Let's me see. We need to get Susan on here as a panelist. There she is. Okay. Glad I saw you there. Ah, here we go. Glad I saw you in there.
There she is.
Okay, let me see if there's anybody else I need to bring on that needs to be here. So we're just missing. Oh, there's Thornton, and Dr. Manisha will be the last person. Then we have everybody on board. So let me make sure she's in here. All right. Excellent. Yeah, so well, while we are, oh wow, look at that, 2020. Love the glasses. We're just gonna do New Year's all over again because hey, guess what? We're halfway through the year. So, are we ready to hit the reset button already? Yeah. Maybe we need to turn them upside down. Is that what we need to do, Susan? Look at you with the delicious drink.
I have to unmute myself. I forgot about that whole mute, unmute thing.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I have my antioxidants, my water goblet.
Fabulous. There she is. Hey, Dr. Manisha.
Awesome. A water goblet. Right. I love that.
Yeah, right?
Water goblet. And then I pack it with antioxidants and I drink it all day. And at the end of the day, it is just yummy.
And then you put wine on top of that, and
that's really funny. I was gonna
make some
have a wine glass that I drink my water out of, and I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't use that one when we're on because maybe people think I'm drinking wine.
Yeah, this is what keeps me sane all day long.
All new rules. 2020, totally new set of rules we play with now.
It's hilarious.
That's right. We're making our own rules here, so
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hi, Thornton. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet you personally yesterday. Hi, Nisha, Christian.
All right.
Hey,
yes.
Hi.
We'll make it up.
We love it. Okay, we are recording. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the New Consciousness Project. I am so honored that you are here, that you invitations and so let me just explain a little bit about what this is all about, because you may have noticed that we're living in some quite historic times, certainly some times of extremes. Never before in history have we ever had a virus that shut down business, shut down the whole economy just about. And the media is fueling a lot of the fear and anxiety, and there are laws and regulations that are coming out that are tracking citizens and more freedoms and encouraging separation and quarantine and social distancing and all this kind of stuff. And, so censorship has been rampant and people are pitting each other against each other. This whole part of extremes that has been going on for more and more for the last couple of decades, I would say. There's division amongst friends and family and on social media that's just creating even more chaos, because what happens is when we go into fear and anxiety and worry, we really shut down. And one of the first systems that's hit is our immune system, just the thing that we want to boost, when we have a virus going around, we always want our immune system to be the highest and best that it can possibly be. And then on top of that, then we added violence, Black Lives Matter, we have human trafficking, economic crisis, ecological decline, and environmental pollution. And globally, we are just looking like we're on a crash course to extinction. And that I'm not okay with. This is not a political debate. I stated all those things because those are factors that led me to to invite this panel. Like, we need to do something. I want to be part of the solution. And whether or not I had a kid, I do happen to have a child, but even if I didn't have a child, I feel that I'm here to leave a legacy to the next generation. Rather than a political debate, this is coming together from a human perspective to look for solutions. Problems are what the media focus on with a narrowly focused agenda, from my opinion. And this agenda is just heading towards removing more and more of our liberties. So why this panel? I was inspired by Albert Einstein's quote, "We cannot solve problems from the same level at which they were created," which means that we need to step out of fear and angst, take a look from outside the box, and look from a completely different angle. Many angles, the better, the more the better, because there are many ways we can go about this. Mainstream thoughts and conventions, they've gotten us to where we are now, and it's gotten us where we are, which is fine. Hence, in my personal opinion, I think it's time for a different approach. So we should heed the advice from futurist Buckminster Fuller. You never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So my intention here is I invited people who think outside the box and to raise awareness of the energy fields, how they work and how we can consciously use that energy field to be co-creators of our reality so that we can tap into our full potential. Because from where I am, I don't see us really tapping into our full potential. We are capable of so much more, right? And therefore, we have a lot of people here who are part of this work. So a big part of it is taking personal responsibility for our thoughts, our emotions, and our environment. By taking personal responsibility of co-creating our reality, we disrupt our tendency to put that responsibility onto other people, such as leaders, politicians on a global basis, and in our personal life, our partners. Because what happens when we do that is that we also tend to put blame on them when things don't go as we would like. So by inviting you amazing, wonderful panelists who all come from different areas of expertise, areas that are vital for this raising of vibration and consciousness, each of you see how energy works on a different level, and all of it has a common goal, which is to create health, wellness, peace, harmony, and love. And that is in the spirit of which this panel is coming together. My intention is to, in addition, to raise awareness for the public about energy and also to brainstorm solutions. I see tangible solutions coming out of this panel from this discussion that people can put into practice immediately. I see potential of collaborations happening. And one thought is to possibly make this panel a quarterly event, possibly, where we can, as things move along, tweak solutions and see how things go. And it may be the same panelists, it may be different people. And and to the audience, some of you may be new to what we're discussing. If the topics that we're discussing are new to you, then I invite you to have an open mind and an open heart. And just let the information come in, ask questions, and think. Take it in and, let it tumble around your brain a little bit because, and just consider that may be other ways of going about things than what is usually shared in the mainstream media. So I do have an agenda. So this was my introduction, and when I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody who's on the panel. And before I forget, I tend to forget myself. I'm Karen Weary. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. My business is Insights Counseling Center. I work with people. For the most part, I do a lot of work with trauma, helping people recover from it, update the brain so that it's not stuck in the fight or flight loop, which is where I'm coming and seeing how mainstream media tends to be doing this. It's like, if you're not traumatized already, you will be traumatized by the time you have been watching the news for, about 20 minutes. And so let me start from over here in this corner here, Mer de Marmion. She is a vibrational alchemist and teacher. She works with individuals who desire deeper health and happiness and well-being. Her work has seen many expressions in the last 20 years in the form of group sound immersions and workshops, women's healing retreats, and recording collaborations. In 2017, her offerings centered on women's empowerment. In blending the power of sacred sound and energy healing with emotional support in deeply nurturing sessions and retreats, Mer helps women resolve lingering self-esteem issues from past adversity. She has an e-workbook, The 5 Life Passages of Transformation, A Sacred Journey Through Adversity and Challenge. And this is a guidebook that is deeply rooted in her shamanic studies, drawing upon her own journey through childhood trauma. And this e-work is a companion to her women's workshops and retreats. She currently lives outside of Asheville in North Carolina. Welcome, Mer. She will be doing a sound invocation for us before we head completely into this. Now, right underneath Mer, we have Terry Gillen. And she is amazing. I've had personal experience with her. She has been a professional psychic and medium for over 30 years. Along with these services, she offers coaching, life coaching, and business coaching. She has training in many areas such as marketing, psychology, business development, problem solving, and deductive reasoning. So quite a broad spectrum here. She loves to teach in areas as well as consulting. And it's been her pleasure to enhance her natural abilities with decades of training in many overlapping areas. This allows her to relate to and assist in an expansive array of situations. Over the years, she's worked directly with and learned from leaders in many industries around the world, including disaster recovery, politicians, celebrities, and global business moguls, as well as everyday people simply looking for assistance in navigating life's challenges from minor to extreme trauma. And so it is her desire, and she's looking forward to doing her part in assisting the enlightenment of those who desire progressive and positive change in their lives and in the world, which is exactly what we're all about here. Then on the bottom here, if you have the same screen as I do, we have Dr. Manisha White, who is an impact coach and chief strategist. Her story on proven work-life harmony method serves as a valuable resource and guide for high-performing women, teaching them how to create their own work-life harmony so that they can live and lead their best life without compromising themselves or their family. As a wife, mom, Amazon #1 bestseller, CEO of the Work-Life Harmony Academy, LLC, and creator of the world's #1 holistic self-care and accountability system for women, Dr. White offers unique on-the-go digital courses and develops women privately using her signature quarter prepping system designed to teach women how to live and lead with more meaning and intent. Dr. White understands firsthand the seemingly impossible challenge of harmonizing the many roles and believes that every individual has the capacity to obtain a true state of peace while leading life simpler, not harder. Yeah, and that is definitely a challenge right there. And let me see, let me go around in a circle here. So then we have Jan Edwards, President and CEO, paving the way of fierce disruption in the cycle of child trafficking. Jan is the founder, yeah, anyway, the paving the way is let me say, organization that's committed to being a fierce disruption in the cycle of child trafficking around the globe. This is accomplished through educational and training programs that empower communities to break the cycle. Jan has spent over 25 years as an executive in sales and marketing, working with organizations like Time Warner, White House, the United Nations, and other international groups before taking on the worldwide initiative to prevent children from becoming victims of this silent crime. Paving the Way has educated over 4,500 children, but probably more by now, teens and adults on this subject since January 2017. Ms. Edwards has been featured in Huffington Post, Marie Claire UK, NBC, and iHeartRadio as an expert in prevention, was recently awarded Humanitarian of the Year. So thank you for all of your work, Jan. All right, now we have Dr. Thornton Streeter. He is the director of the Center of Biofield Sciences based in India. He spent over 25 years specializing in researching the human biofield. Dr. Streeter is the co-developer of the Biofield Viewer, which is super interesting. He has, and then there's a long list of all the places he has spoken globally, worldwide, been keynote speaker, part of writing books, training courses. Just wait, you'll hear. We have Christian Escobedo. Where are you? I know where you are up there. Here we go. Christian Escobedo is a thought leader in global freedom movement. He states creativity only extends as far as one's ability to communicate. Christian is a success coach specializing in subconscious reprogramming. That's definitely something that we need. As the producer of the Vin Armani Show, Christian harnesses freedom by expressing the ultimate ways to leverage freedom through hidden quantum technologies. Today, Christian brings his expertise to individuals around the globe, and his passion is to help move more and more people, allow them more and more people experience the freedom and abundance they deserve, which is much needed. And last but certainly not least, the cherry on the icing right there in the middle, Susan Schatzer is a 12-time #1 best-selling author and worldwide consciousness revolutionary. She is the executive producer and host of the global TV series Unlocking Your Limitless Life with Susan Schatzer and the founder of the High Vibe Tribe. Susan is in service to humanity, and her mission is to raise the vibrational frequency of Mother Earth. Her message is simple. That's right. Remember your sovereign birthright. Be in abundance with love and gratitude for everything and everyone at all times, now and forever. So, woohoo! With that, we are going to go ahead and have Mur do an incantation, and then we will have about 90 minutes of discussion and be open for questions from the audience. And then we will wrap up the last 5 minutes with conclusions, what we're coming from. So if we could all just take a nice couple of long, deep breaths. Just let whatever the day has brought, let that flow off of you. And Mur, you're going to have, yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, let's all center. I would like to set an intention that we create a container here for individuals who see the live today and also for the replay, so that they receive love and nurturing from this invocation, and that we deepen this in our own hearts and that it spreads out into the world. So if you would take another deep breath and center it in your heart, and pull all parts of yourself back into your heart, wherever they are. And through an exhale, send some heart energy down your body, down your legs, into your feet. And if you can imagine your feet growing roots and sending those down into the planet through all the layers of Mother Earth, all the way down into the beautiful rose quartz beating heart. And just plugging in and just feeling her love and her protection and her appreciation and her support for you at this time. And as you inhale, bring that energy back up and into your heart and let it mingle with your own energy. Now exhale some energy up out the top of your head and all the way out into the cosmos, as far out as you can go, until you reach this beautiful golden sun, and plug your heart energy right into the very center of it. And feel its warmth as Father Sun, its appreciation, its love. And as you breathe in, bring back some of that energy with you and center it into your heart. And feel yourself bridged between heaven and earth, always supported.
Thank you so much, Mur. That was beautiful. All right. Well, I feel clear now. So let's see. I just have a couple of ground rules just so that we're all on the same page, that just to remind everybody, the audience included, that this is non-political, this is non-judgmental, it's an open-minded conversation. Questions from viewers must be from the same level. And so you are perfectly welcome to disagree with anything and everything that is said here, and that is okay. But we're not here to, tap into anything like that. We're here to have a discussion and an open-minded conversation and focus on brainstorming and be very solution oriented. So I want to put out to the panel, I mean, because right now there is so much, so many people are really caught up in the fear and the anxiety and numbers and all that, which is putting people in this heavy place. And so what are some things that that you work with people, and this can be going out to each individual, how you work with people to help get them out of that space? So maybe Terry, you want to start with that, answering that one?
Hi, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working obviously with people from all over the world during this situation, and it's amazing to me how quickly the general public, just most people will jump right into that fear, so easily, and anger, and that division. And so one of the most simple things that I teach people is to look at life as, the scales of justice or whatever, right? Those, like the Libra scales, right? And there's so much opportunity and so much beauty happening right now as well. It's simply a time of change. And so it's deciding, am I going to look at what the media is feeding us and look at what people are yickety yakking about? Or am I going to really decide that I'm going to seek out what beautiful things are happening right now? What changes are happening right now for the better? Because there's actually a lot happening that is over the top amazing right now. And but you have to look for it, right? Because the mainstream media is not feeding you that right now. And so that's one of the simplest things that I tell people is start within your own life, right? Start when you wake up in the morning, look around you. For me, I look around me and I've got my 2 dogs with me that I love more, just, they're just my happy place, right? And I look around at the pictures that I love on my walls. And then I look around at where I live and I love it. And I just start from inside and kind of expand out, right? And that keeps it simple for people. And as you do that, it becomes more and more easy to find the joy, the opportunity, the growth, all of the magic that's happening right now. It's amazing what's happening right now. So just deciding that I'm going to look this way instead of that way. And yeah, maybe you need to know if the world is going to explode or something, but you're not going to get the truth anyway from the mainstream media. So why even bother? It's like, it's just reading a fictional novel at this point, and that just is the way it is. So if you're going to be looking for information anyway, why not look for things that are magical, wonderful, inspiring? Right? So I think that's what I would say first and foremost.
Yeah. And Terry, since you brought up, there's so many amazing things, beautiful things that are happening. I think a lot of people might not see that. So could you maybe help point out one thing that you see that's like that?
Yes, and I'm having a little hard time because we've got so much going on in the world. I want it to be very clear, nothing is political that I'm talking about, okay? Yep. And I'm very interested to talk more with Jan, actually, because there's so much happening in the world of human trafficking right now that is, oh my God, just wow, finally, I get so excited about what is happening. And right? And I'm just lending so much energy to that because people don't understand. We're being so caught up there. It's almost like when fishermen chum the waters, for a shark or something, right? The media is chumming the waters for us not to see all the good stuff that's happening. So the first thing that comes to mind is the human trafficking thing. If you really look into that, and I know it's not pleasant, whatever, but it's good. Slavery is alive and well and living right now, and we just haven't seen it because they're not telling us about it. And it is being handled finally. You know, to me, that's one of the biggest things is the human trafficking thing. I have goosebumps all over. That's just one example, though. It's on so many levels that things are happening out there that are huge like that. They're game changers, but they're not telling us about those. You have to look for that information, but it's out there and you can find it. You know, I think the thing that I tell people with my clients, my students, et cetera, I just tell them, if somebody that you're watching on YouTube or somebody that you're watching on the news or whatever, if they're speaking in a fear-based manner, run like the wind, man. Get away from that, because they are manipulating you, right? Facts don't need to be presented in a fear-based manner. So that's probably not the news you need to be listening to. So
yeah.
That alone, if you just look for YouTubers, if you look for people out there blogging, if they're not coming from a fear-based and they're not coming from like the super airy fairy, no offense to people, but you know, like they're coming from a nice balanced space, that's what you want to find as far as people to get some information from. So, because there is so much, but the human trafficking thing just lights me up what's happening right now. And people have no idea how it's on. I'm like, yes. Oh my God.
Thank you, Terry, for bringing that up. So since you brought that up, let's just jump right on over to Jan, huh? Yes, thank you, Terry. That was awesome. So share with us, Jan. We gotta celebrate.
Who knew? Because you got to get over here just like to talk to your, participants and people that are attending. Everybody on here is so extraordinary in the energy space and the healing space, and I save lives. So it's in the same realm, but not in the same realm, right? And I just love, Terry, that you're just like, but there's this great stuff happening, and there is. Here's the thing. I've been in this, and I am going to call it a battle, because it's a battle on multiple planes, right? Yeah. For 7 years. And when I tell people, how this started 7 years ago, I'm like, no one knew what I was talking about. They're like, prevention education. What do you mean? What is there to, it was just, I got such resistance, and I'm like, no, but look at the facts, right? Let me show you the facts. I love facts. And, the fact that the current environment is ripe for scooping some of these bad guys up, Jeffrey Epstein being probably one of the most prominent, right? If you haven't seen the documentary on Netflix yet, go watch that, because that is exactly how our children are lured in, right? And if we educate them, if we empower the parents to have these really important conversations with them, men like that don't have a shot with our kids. There's not one shot. Peter Nygaard, another guy in New York, right? Huge international ring, closed down. And then every day our law enforcement officers on the street, I work very closely with law enforcement here in Orlando. Every day, they are either rescuing girls or catching bad guys, because more and more people know what to look for. They're picking up the phone and they're making the call. And most importantly, they're having those uncomfortable conversations with their kids. That's the thing, is if we can just step just either side out of our comfort zone and get our, courage on and get our brave on and take a deep breath and share a fact with our kids, and then just kind of wait, and then they're going to say whatever they're going to say. Either way, we've started a conversation, and we start a conversation with our kids. We start a conversation with our friends. They're going to have it with their friends and their kids. And like L'Oreal, and they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends. Yeah. Just really expanding out. And the great thing is we've got some great legislation that's bipartisan, I might add, up on the Hill at the federal level, which is really, really huge. Because when I was on CNN 3 years ago, and when I was driving home, the friend of mine, I was on the phone with I've known these like lifelong friends, right? 20 plus years. And I was on the phone with my friend's mom, and she's like, so are you going to take your movie out to LA? You know, she had this whole Hollywoodish thing going on. I'm like, no. And she was, I could hear the perplex response, right? And she's like, well, why did you make it? You know? And I said, because my commitment is every single school across the country has human trafficking awareness and prevention education. That's where I'm standing. Now, here we are 3 years later, 3.5, right? And there's 2 bills, one in the House and in the Senate, very important, that is designed to have human trafficking education be in every single school across the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's the kind of impact we can have collectively. This wasn't a Jan thing. I tell people, I'm like, yeah, y'all remember Horton Hears a Who? At the very last Who in Whoville goes, I am here, and it pops open the bubble. I feel like that's who I was in this fight. It's because there were so many people in this battle, you know, and then I kind of leap in literally from nowhere from their point of view, right? And I got it from source. And I was the person going, we're here. And all of a sudden things started to explode, you know, and that's the impact one person can have. Because the person at the tip of the spear, right, has been fighting this battle for 20 years, right? And here all these other arrows start to come in, and finally it starts to pierce the veil of really what's happening. And, you know, I'm about to take on another side of this that I'm not ready to quite share yet, that when I do, it's going to blow people away. And I was sharing with my daughter, I said, you know how I am, I'm stealthy. I do my work underneath the surface, right? And then I pop up and kind of look around and go, nope, not yet. And I do my research, and I engage with people, and I have conversations. I gather the facts, and I test stuff. Then I reveal what it is I'm up to. Because the enemy knows when you're up to stuff, and when you share it out in the world, it's easy. How, you know, it's easier to kill a baby than it is to kill a man or a woman. So when you have little ideas like that, and they're little seeds, you just kind of keep them here and keep them close to your chest and keep them in your inner circle as you feed it and grow it and nurture it, such that you can go out and make the difference in the world.
Wow. Ooh, yeah, I'm like Terry. I got goosebumps. This is awesome. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah. All of us together. It's all of us together. It's not a one human thing. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm just honored. I'm honored I was chosen to have this conversation. Like, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the human trafficking is just one of it's just evil, you know, and it's one of the things as we raise the consciousness and the vibration, my thing is blast it out.
Totally. Look, this is it's a human vulnerability that has not only women and men, but children be subject to this. And, you know, and it's all connected. I can have a great house. I can have great parents. I can have food, hot and cold running water, a bed. However, if I have low self-esteem, someone can prey on me. All the way to, I might have really great self-esteem, and I don't really have a parent or a guiding adult to tap into, right? I may have one meal a day. That also leaves me vulnerable, right? So there is the thing about human trafficking, it knows no socioeconomic, demographic, or geographic boundary. It's everyone. And so we raise consciousness, we raise awareness, we raise energy levels, and people start to be like, that's not okay, you said that. I'm going to unfriend you. And that, you know, right there, that alters somebody's future. Because these predators are online looking for our kids. There was a article I just posted that the National Center for Online Cyber Tips has seen 106% increase of reports.
Wow. So
now more than ever, we got to have this conversation with our kids and our parents, but just now more than ever, we've got to just be like, heads up, heads up, heads up, heads up. That one unfriend can actually save a life.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, maybe write that down. Okay. Beautiful. Full. Thank you,
You're
Jen.
welcome.
Dr. Manisa, I saw you lean in. Yeah. What is something that you're seeing from the work that you do in really helping women, balance things out and all the stuff that's going on, because it's a lot. You have to unmute yourself.
So harmonize is the key word that we use in our community, because I just feel like balance is part of the problem. Women are trying to fight to create this balance, and they're not able to be successful because it doesn't exist. And so I show them how to blend, and not multitask, and how to really prioritize what matters most to them. And so there's two things that I wanted to add to this beautiful conversation. And the first thing is that a lot of women dismiss their emotions, is what I'm finding in my community. And it's a large part of their past. It's a large part of how they see themselves, their belief systems, right? So all that's playing a role. And it's showing up every single day, and how quickly they're able to shift in their emotions. And so what I do really through the digital course that I have and just some live engagement with them is making them aware of their emotional intelligence and helping them to connect it with their self-care, and really going deep with that self-care plan to say, don't ignore yourself. Don't dismiss yourself. That how you're feeling, that matters. It's valid. Pause for a second. Because what I'm finding with my community is that they're going. Yes, I feel this way, but I got to keep going, right? Who's going to get this done if I don't do it? Dinner's got to be on. Kids need this. Husband needs this. And so they push it further in the back. And guess what? You all know this as the experts are listening. It comes back up. You can't run from it. You can't run from it. And when it comes up in your perception. It shows up in your love life. Shows up in how you interact with your kids. It creates triggers. It sabotages your life, right? And so that's one of I think the biggest thing for me with helping women to realize is that pause, just press pause for a second. What was that feeling you felt there? Describe that. Another thing that I noticed with my community is that our vocabulary is very limited in our emotion. Sad, happy, mad, And so what I use is an emotional wheel that elongates their vocabulary and actually guides them to, okay, you feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelm is attached to here, and this is attached to here. I mean, we know that every emotion is either love-based or fear-based as the root. So then it allows us to be able to let our emotion guide us to the truth. Right. So a lot of that has been happening. And what I like to do is empower women on how to do that practically everyday life, because it's going to keep coming. You're going to have these ups and downs until you can really regulate it. Right. So it's not like a thing you just fix in like now, but it's a tool. It's a tool that you can put in your toolbox. And so being able to first help them to be aware of that. The second thing that Jane said that I was like smiling, my heart was smiling, is there's a lot of pressing issues going on right now. And from human trafficking to just as an African-American woman, the culture that we're dealing with and everything that's taking place there with fighting for equality, to the numerous COVID and trying to overcome that. And I love what Jane was saying, because it's so big on perspective. And one of the things, and people call me an optimist, but this is my perspective on just the world and the universe and how, things are designed. Everything is working out for our good, right? So if there is a situation that's happening, the awful things that's happening in human trafficking and the things that was happening, all these different things I just mentioned, guess what? The universe has already positioned us with the solution inside of us. So it's not that, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. No, it's, man, this is creating an opportunity for a time like this. One of the things I specialize in is teaching women how to create their dream business, without compromise. I used to work so hard trying to convince women, especially women that were in corporate America, they were so fearful to go out on business. They felt like it was such a big risk. Now with all this stuff happening, everybody's looking like, how do I make money online? So now I'm relevant even more now than ever because of what's happening. Jane, you are relevant more now than ever. Susan, you're relevant. Everybody's like, you're relevant. When the problem exists and you feel and believe that you're the solution, it's your time to shine. It's not your time to groan and feel and be angry and mad. And it's your time to see, how can I seize this moment? I was created for this moment, right? How can I seize it? And using strategy and wisdom and collaboration, like what you're doing. If this wasn't going on, there would be no need for caring. Imagine a world like that. So this is perspective. This is perspective that I think is so beautiful that you shared. And I love the work that everyone is doing. These problems create space for us to show up and be our authentic self. And that is always a good thing, right? And so I look at problems and conflict a little different. And I look at them as opportunities, really. And so I try to help to impart that into the women that I serve. So that's my take.
Yeah. And I love that what you're talking about basically it is what I talk about. I've created a new term, I think, that's called "We are all emotionally constipated." What you were just talking about, right? Because in the world of mental health, people love to give diagnoses, and they'll have a 20-minute conversation with somebody. Oh, and you got borderline personality disorder, and this, that, and the other. Like, hold on, wait a minute. Let's just talk about what has this person been through before we give these kinds of diagnoses. Oh my goodness, let's just help update the brain. And they probably had some trauma on some level that when we can heal that, then they're perfectly fine. So yeah, and that means we have to check in, we have to honor, and tune in. And this is a lot of what I do in my work. So thank you, Dr. Manisha, for
Absolutely
weighting that even more.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Thornton, you are able to actually show an image of what is going on with your amazing biofield viewer. You'll have to unmute yourself. Tell us a little bit about that. You're still muted.
No, I've got it. Well, the biofield viewer technology is just another tool which kind of lines up with the current need, if you like. Most of us today have been speaking to the possibility of each individual claiming their own kind of wellness journey in a way, their own journey informed and tools like mine allow people to really find the needles in the haystack. The biofield or the energy body or the human aura grows like a tree, and we store traumas in each year's ring. And so when you have the ability to see those traumas, you can help people go back to whatever moment in time where they froze and had an experience, because if they can digest those experiences from childhood and so forth, then we're not really wearing rose-tinted spectacles, created by our own experiences. The biofield's a bit like a spider's web, and these traumas appear a bit like a spider that's got, a fly that's got caught in our web, but we've kind of just cocooned it. We haven't dealt with it, and therefore it colors our view out that way. So I think it is an important time to kind of drop the veil. We're all grown-ups now, and choice is the expression of divinity in humanity. God will never come and sit on your knee and allow you to stroke her face, because you have to choose that. It's a bit like the kiss in Hitch. You come 90%, but you've got to allow the 10% back to you. And I think that's what divinity is like with all of us. It gives us that opportunity to choose it, even though it quite clearly is right in front of us. And I think to unpick the issues and the clouds that we're seeing in our presence, the question is, how far back do we have to go? Is this a family issue? Is this a cultural issue? Is this a community issue? The fact that we have, you know, teenagers wandering around in such a way that they're not feeling like they belong where they're from. You know, is our society needing to rewind to a state where, you know, we actually look at the raw tools for well-being. And what are those raw tools? They're the elements. So we speak about earth. Mir's fabulous prayer earlier invited us to feel that earth. But you know, there's a harmony that comes, and a resonance that comes with returning back into nature and exposing yourself to the elements. So you know, people ask me, what's the best medicine? And I say a glass of water. You know, doctor will recommend the same thing. He'll say take a glass of water, but have it with the pill. I say throw the pill and drink the water. You know, that's the second element. You know, the third element is fire. You know, I can share from my own personal experience, aside from being a scientist in this field, that if I sit in front of an open fire, I feel my fears, my chaff, all just sort of, it's cosmic. It's almost as if fire has a ability to flush stuff on the lower frequency elements. And so when you understand how we've been kind of programmed and compartmentalized, and we end up each in our own little fear furrow, you know, something like a return to source, and in this sense, the type of experience I'm describing, you know, so, you know, the national parks in America are all open now. Go camping, you know, that's the way to boost your immune system. And I've got so much experience showing people how to optimize their energy fields from wherever they are now. And the most obvious process is to embrace that nature. The breath, for example, most of us are sitting in chairs most of the time, even in lockdown, and compressing our chest. And the reality is that when we're breathing, the lungs perform the biochemical process of exchanging carbon dioxide and oxygen, but there's an esoteric process that goes on as well, and that is a deep breath pumps the diaphragm, and the diaphragm sets the splenic chakra spinning, and the splenic chakra draws chi or prana into the biofield. So if we cut ourselves off from this awareness, we end up kind of jumping in our own genie lamp and shutting the lid upon ourselves. And I think that when we turn this on its head and say, well, what is consciousness? And what are we in our truest, purest form? Certainly from my perspective, studying the chakras, we realize that the lower three chakras are like gyroscopes on a spaceship, which monitor this sense of stillness in this space, because I'm sitting on a ball, we all are, that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour, and yet we all feel still. Those lower three chakras, 1, 2, and 3 dimensionally, are firing plasma jets completely unconsciously to keep us feeling still. So the lower three chakras manifest and give us a sense of being in space. And the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, is the connection with time. Scientists speak about the space-time continuum. So I'm just saying that the lower four chakras do that job. The heart, which is the biological clock, beats with time. Time is actually a wave, and a conscious present being rides the wave. It's so easy to fall off your board, but riding the wave of time is whereby our lower four chakras are functioning in perfect order. And that allows, you see, each one of us here are working in this state, because we would all argue that the first thing you need to be when you're working with healing, to hold space for another, is present. Two people who are present can intend miracles. So what I'm alluding to now is that many of us are equipped with tools. We all know what our clitoris and our penis feels like, but are we fully aware of the equipment that we have? Our crown chakra, our brow chakra, our third chakra, throat chakra, because these all operate beyond space and time. That's what the lower four chakras do. They help us manifest in space and time. But we have higher, I call it the sports gearbox, which allows us to heal at a distance, to remote view, be clairvoyant, to send healing at a distance, to move objects with our minds. And for a couple of 100 years, we've all been in school being told that we've got to look at stuff. And we go up to the blackboard and down to the pencil, and up to the blackboard and down to the pencil. And we've lost our very ability to actually see each other. And this is the missing link in the conscious development of humanity, is the opportunity to see ourselves as we really are with clear sight. And in my case, obviously providing the technology now freely available soon on Instagram, that everybody can pick up their phone and look at their own biofield live in real time and take guidance from the process of optimization, which is symmetry, harmony, tensegrity. And when we have these things in our field, then we can turn up the volume. Because a system without tensegrity is like a tent that you put up on a hill before the storm. It's going to go. But as Buckminster Fuller was alluded to earlier, if the tensegrity is correct, in line with the sacred geometry of nature, that human being will handle any virus. And viruses all exist in a certain bandwidth, between 4.5 and 5,500 units per second. So if I'm vibrating at 7,000 or 12,000, can't resonate with me. You'll see it on my tongue, but it will not resonate with me.
So simple. And I love how you were saying that, Dr. Thornton, about, you know, it reminded me of the movie Avatar, where they said, "I see you," right? It's so beautiful. So Susan, let's hear, well, we're getting information specifically for this panel. What would you like to share with us now?
So thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for Facebook and for our live audience with us. So everything's energy and everything. So our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions are all energy. Our body is made of energy. What we eat is energy. The technology we're using is all energy. Like that's the bottom line. Everything else is, you know, what the illusion is that you have been programmed to take part in. It's the play, it's the game. So you're a mother, you're a daughter, you have roles, you're a husband, you're a worker, you're a business owner, you're a homeowner, you're homeless, you're in prison. Whatever that is, for you, know that it's just complete, it's just energy. And you know, I don't know what else to say. It's like, that is it. Like, there's so many modalities out there. There's so many topics. There's so many issues. There's so many things. And it's all part of the game. And we're headed towards ascension, which is when we're going to be, you know, moving from the third dimension, which is length, width, and height, to the fourth and fifth dimension. And at this time, I see lots of people, lots of our panelists are shaking their heads. We have the opportunity to take our bodies with us. So just looking at the sacred geometry that we have is a dodecahedron. And so that's like where triangles kind of go into the hexagon, and then you just keep expanding out from there. So what is it? So truly hidden inside your biggest problem. So whatever your problem is, whatever the ginormous problem is, whether it was childhood, your past, your parenting, your abuse, trafficking, you know, anything, whatever it is, whatever that problem is, hidden inside there is your greatest possibility. And so the question always empowers you. Anything else disempowers you. So if you're in a statement, and I know a lot of people go, well, I'm asking a question, but really it's a statement. And then you just like pop the question mark in the end.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we're, you know, like the why question. When we're 2-year-olds, why? You know, 2-year-olds are still close enough to the other side that they haven't been programmed yet. Like we haven't like invoked and perpetrated on them. So they're asking us questions and it drives us crazy. With the questions like, you know, like, why is the sky blue? And, you know, why is mommy crying? And why is daddy late? And, you know, there's like all these whys. Well, it's because our 2-year-olds know that there's a different possibility available to us. And we are choosing in what I call humanity's insanities. We are choosing insanity. Why? Because we have obligation and responsibility. We're obligated to something or someone, and we have a responsibility to it or to them. So with everything that we have going on in the world, know that hidden inside it is your greatest, our greatest as humanity's possibility. You know, I'm here in service to raise the vibrational frequency, and just throwing this in as a consciousness revolutionary, I'm a pattern interrupter. So I'm here to interrupt the patterning that has been programming you into believing the things that are holding you down and back. I know that was a huge mouthful, and I see so many of our attendees are nodding their heads. It's like, yeah, it's like there's no one better or worse. It just is. You know, and all of these things, everything in our life, the staying at home, the being quarantined, the not being able to go out, the military police, the, you know, the Black gentleman, you know, who was, you know, killed by a white police officer, the trafficking, the, you know, everything, the non-disclosure, the, you know, the abuse, the sexual assaults that's been taking place, like all of it, right? So what if we didn't perceive it as a problem, right? Like, what if there actually isn't a problem, right? What if there actually is a possibility? So Jan is a possibility. We all are possibilities, right? Like we're here to like shift what's been the norm, what's been, you know, the code, the mode of operandi of everything, of our politics, of our military, of our what we, from going all the way back. Like I'm 51. So going all the way back, I mean, even the fluoride that we had starting when we were little kids, fluoride is equal to mercury, which is poison to the body. Fluoride, we had fluoride, Flintstone vitamins. Raise your hand if you had Flintstone vitamins when you were a kid, right? You had fluoride in your toothpaste, fluoride in your Act mouthwash. You would squeeze it up and have a little bit and you would take it, fluoride in your water. And then every 6 months you would get fluoride treatment at your dentist's office. So fluoride, you know, our GMO'd, our air that we breathe, everything has been designed to keep us in a lower harmonic, in a lower frequency. So people ask me all the time, like, what do I do? How do I get out of it? How can I shift? What happens? Put on some music. Music is the fastest, quickest, easiest way to shift your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. Music will bring up today, yesterday, tomorrow. Music is an acoustical vibrational frequency. You as a being are an acoustical vibrational being. Your body is an electrical being. There's a difference. You, the body, have an EEG and an EKG with your heart and your brain. That's electrical current. You, the being, are acoustical vibrational frequencies. And that's why, you know, the singing bowls, the Tibetan bowls, music harmonizes our chakras, harmonizes our frequencies. Every molecule has consciousness. This is another key thing to keep in mind. Every single molecule has consciousness. So yeah, that's your phone, that's your computer, that's your food. So guess what? You are the being, and your body, right, actually wears the clothes. You don't wear the clothes. You, the being, don't wear clothes. Your body wears clothes. You, the being, do not eat the food. You do not consume the food. Your body consumes the food. Guess what? You aren't the one having sex. You are, you're the being. You're the being, right? Your body is the one having sex. I know everyone's like laughing. It's like, it's so true though. Like, right? Like, this is what they should have been teaching us, right? They weren't teaching us, but had we known this, we would have a completely different set of possibilities. And yeah, and the rules are changing, like more and more, like everything's crumbling down. Like the illusion, people are waking up. I mean, you know, there's teenagers that are staring there going, there's no work being done here, but there's a whole stack of bricks. Like, where'd those come from overnight? We are waking up, like humanity, at an astronomical quantum level. So I'm extremely privileged and honored, seriously, to be here. And, you know, anything that I can do to be of service to you, to your family, to your company, to the public, you know, please, if you've got questions, I love live. If you've got questions, like, please, please, please place them in the chat box here on Zoom, or let us know on Facebook, because we're here to serve you. Like, all of us are here. We're here to offer you a different possibility, because hidden inside of it is truly your greatest possibility.
Yeah, and I just love to live in the realm of possibility, right? And I love one of the things that you were saying. I love everything that you were saying, but the part where you were talking about 2-year-olds, and I think many times if we are around children, instead of us thinking that we're teaching them everything, there's one, hi, and instead we also see that they might have something to teach us. You know,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, yes.
And parenting done differently. You know, it's like all of a sudden we were shoved into, oh my God, now we have to actually teach our kids. You know, we would, it's so funny. I've been on tons of summits and radio shows and TV stations, and these moms, they go, you know, at the end of the school year, man, I'm taking the summer and I'm going to get the homeschooling thing. You know, we go back, I'm going to be teaching them myself from home. We're going to have it. We're field trips. They get all planned out. At the end of the summer, they're like, I can't wait for that first day. It's like this whole full circle, right? I mean, we love it. So, you know, and I've done it. Like, my son came virtual. He's, you know, going to be 18 in a month, but he went virtual his freshman year in high school, and I work from home. So guess who's been together 24/7 for 4 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have some tips and tools that can support you at that, because I've been there and I've done it. The other thing is, what if you don't know what's right? Would you be willing to be wrong? Like, how important and how entrained and maintained have we kept having to be right, getting the right answer, figuring it out? You know, there's nothing, you know, if you could have this, I love this question. If you could have figured out how to have the most abundantly joyful, incredibly amazing, you know, just awesome, amazing life, don't you think you would have by now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we would have, I would have. Right.
Absolutely.
But it's not about figuring anything out. It's about something that's completely different. It's about the energy, and it's about the questions. Questions will empower you. Questions allow you to have the awareness of what's true for you and what's not true for you. And with that, you're able to step forward. You're empowered. You're able to know that you know what you know. And I don't know. I could go on. You know,
yeah.
You know, the High Vibe Tribe, we live stream on Fridays on Facebook. And I'll tell you, that is one of the most dynamic places to be, because there's like a whole bunch of us that all get together, and we have no judgment, no point of view about anything. Right, Karen? And it's just this, you know, dynamic place of going in and taking a look at, like, okay, so what's the problem? Like, what's going on? What's happening? And we're able to, like, deep dive in. And that is the beauty of this. You know, we're here on planet Earth right now. We're embodied. You know, there is a line of souls trying to get to the planet right now. They are, you know, just falling over each other to get in a body, to be here, to have the 5D experience, the sense, the sight, the smell, the taste, the feel, because we're one of the very few species that have all 5 of those. And so to have an embodiment experience is like one of the, top things, to kind of do. And we're getting ready to shift out of that into 4th and 5th dimension. So very exciting, very proud, very honored to be here with all of you. And I'm incredibly grateful for what each and every one of you are doing on the planet and for other people, because it is making a difference and it is creating the ease that everyone is looking for. So thank you.
Yeah. So I have somebody here, Danny Marie. My kids and I are learning together through discovery of the world around us. We don't have to know it all to teach our children. We can show them what it looks like to ask the questions and seek answers. It's a lifelong journey. I love that, Danny Marie. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I used to be a 1st grade school teacher. So when my son was in 1st grade, right, I knew how to do homework. Like, you got to sit in a chair, got to have your pencil sharpened, you got to have your 45-degree angle, you need to have your stomach filled with a snack, right? I knew how to do it, right? So I would set them all up on the kitchen table with good lighting, and then I'd leave and go do something else. I come back, he's on the couch, upside down, with the book over his head like this, reading. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing my homework. I'm like, no, you're not. You're goofing off. Get back to the table. Oh my goodness. Like, it was this, because I knew better. What if we don't? And I got to tell you, I had to give that up. Like, now our kids are programmed. They have 2 monitors. They've got the headsets in. They need the music, right? They've got to have other things happening. When we were growing up, we had silence and quiet and shh. You're in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to be quiet.
Susan, I want to chime in because what you said is so powerful, and because we still have to talk to Christian, so I don't want to take his time.
Yes, and Mur.
Mur is, there's a question that my daughter and I go back and forth all the time. Do I want to be right, or do I want to have a relationship with fill in the blank? Every time. And, as a human being, we're going to react to stuff. Not a problem. We're human. But then you got to take a step back and go, hang on, do I want to be right? Do I want to be positional? Or do I actually want to create something?
And what if we taught our kids that, Jan?
Well,
right?
I did.
Like, my son's a driver, right? So people are cutting him off, and, people are swerving in and out, and they're like, not going as late. And I'm like, so, is it more important to be right or be safe?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So all of that is just where, what am I committed to? If our kids just kept that one question, what am I committed to, in the back of their mind all the time, even adults now too, but what a huge difference that would make.
Yeah.
What am I committed to?
How can it get better?
Right now, what am I committed to right now?
Yeah.
It would alter.
Like, this is our life. And, how could it get better? Like, let's ask. We don't have to know how. It will show up, because we're asking for it, and we're co-creating with the universe. And here we're collaborating. So we're co-creating with each other as well. And that's where every molecule has consciousness. So.
There you go. And I have a question for Christian, because in your bio, it talked about, Christian, hidden quantum technologies. My minds want to know. Please expand.
Yeah. So, wow, where do we even start with it? Okay. So basically, this reality that we're in right now is very much like a computer simulation. In fact, it's identical to that. And I would be willing to say that even some of the technologies that we're using right now were simply discoveries off of that. So the internet, for example, it's just a discovery. Somebody discovered what magnetism can do. They discovered the bells and whistles of the universe and how to actually apply those things into this reality now. So think about what we have in front of us. You can take a thought, coming from the higher dimensions, you can put it into this physical reality and you can interact with it. So the quantum technology that I use is very similar to that. So your body is a bio mechanism. And basically what we do is, with belief systems, you are filtering your reality through your belief system. So you carry this experience, which many people think that it is a positive or a negative thing that's happening. But the truth is they're both happening simultaneously at the same time. And it's you, the perceiver, that's going to determine what is positive, what is negative. So what many people think would be negative is actually just a perspective. So I like one of the quotes that I stumbled upon about a couple years ago is, all is light, shadows are not made from other shadows. What does this mean? This means that the light has cleverly placed what would be considered darkness in the way so you can expand, so you can go to a higher level of consciousness. And so really what we're doing with the quantum technology that I use specifically is, where are those shadows and how do we become aware of them so we could expand into what we perceive as a higher way of living, a higher vibration. The trick here though is this, like, it's kind of a illusion, because the reality is this is just a process. So the lower levels, the darkness is there to support the light. The light is there to support the darkness. These things are part of this experience. They are part of you. And that's the illusion. So what we want to do is essentially shatter that illusion so we can realize and expand into enlightenment. And there's basically like 3 phases of consciousness. You have the victim, the victor, and the vehicle, if you know Hawkins' scale. And most people are operating in a victim or a victor. Now let's flip this on its head. These 2 components are only half of what you can actually experience. The other 500 is in enlightenment. So let's flip this on its head. Let's imagine this for a second. What if you were a victim of winning the lottery? Right? It's not something that most people would even think of, but if you're operating in a higher level of consciousness in enlightenment, you're able to become aware and actually choose your experience. So this is kind of like what we do with the quantum technology as well, is like, how do we hone in on these things that most people are stuck at, but they want to accelerate to a higher level of consciousness? We use that, going back to the beginning, very much like a computer program. So it's a series of codes that we work with higher dimensions. It sounds kind of crazy, and we can actually remote heal, including like instantaneous healings, clearing traumas. So trauma is very, very interesting, because first we have to really understand what a trauma is. And a trauma is basically, it's this. It's your hard drive. It's something that, it's data that the body hasn't processed yet. It's just stored. Most people think that a trauma is a very negative thing, but it's not that. It's just the body hasn't had the ability to process that information yet. So what we can do is we can find, with muscle testing, I use muscle testing a lot, find that trauma, test for it, shift it, retest to make sure that it's shifted, and the body's response will be different using energy and quantum codes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, Manisha, Dr. Manisha.
I think that is so powerful. I love thought leaders like you. I know the people that are listening are just as much on the edge of their seat with this type of content. So thank you so much for your gift. And I just feel like, because, and I hate to keep bringing out the obvious, but I do think it's important to just share culture. As an African American, I had an epiphany yesterday in regard to energy work and such. I had never experienced it, right? Never in our communities. What we were aware of was therapy, right? But even that had a stigma to it. And so no one really wanted to do that. And really speaking from a culture that has, I can't even put a word to really magnify the level of trauma that is associated with my culture. And for so long, people thought that the solution was educating the therapist on how to really engage and understand our perspective to better serve. But the problem I found with the therapy, because I've invested a lot into therapy, and I met a person that did energy work through a joint venture phone call. And right there, she just started doing her thing, like what you were talking about, the remote. And I'd never experienced this before. And so what I realized at that moment after experiencing that was, for one, I felt like, man, a lot of my cultures never experienced this. And I really want to make people more aware that this exists, for one. For two, I realized, with all respect and honor to people who do the work as professional therapists, but I really believed in that moment that a lot of times what therapists do is they rely on you to bring that stuff out of you, and they just kind of well, I don't want to sound like it's, you know, any less of anything, but really what they're doing is they're making you more aware of what you think is there. But the problem is that I'm only tapping into my consciousness. I'm only communicating that I'm conscious of. So that's why I think I didn't get as much of a breakthrough that I did when I was on that call with the energy healer, because of that ability to tap into the subconscious that allowed the vibration that we were experiencing there that I never experienced before, for us to break through to some things. And I really could not go further because it was a joint venture call. We weren't on there for that. Just opened up this thing organically that I felt like was a divine moment for me to see the possibility. But now I have a charge for my community to get access to this, and I'm going to invest with her. I'm going to do the work and see the results and all this stuff. But I think now that I have a personal charge now, because I think that could be a huge solution. We talk about possibilities, right? For my community. So that, I mean, man, pick up the phone. Look, cool if insurance could cover this stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. I think that needs to be a conversation too, to move to happening because of the impact, the results, the outcome. And so, yeah, I got excited because I experienced it yesterday, and what you're talking about is so real. And oftentimes it can feel it's surreal, you know, when you're experiencing it. But it's not nearly scratching the surface of awareness. It is not. So whoever is listening to this, if you've never experienced it before, you know, identify with someone who's doing the work that's on here today, and definitely experience it, because it is truly transformational.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. I love the cultural aspect of it. I think that there's a lot of trauma there in a lot of different cultures, and that's embedded in DNA. So, you know, you can't really like it's one thing to go through an experience and to bring that to the forefront of what you do every day. And a very powerful phrase is, the way that we do anything is the way that we do everything. You bring the same version of you to every single situation. The way that you brush your teeth is the way that you do business. It's the way that you have a relationship. It's the way that you take care of yourself. Is it, you know, so to become aware of the way that we show up in the present moment, even with the cultural chains, even with those things, how can we accelerate through that? How can we bring somebody else through that? And really the key is understanding who you are, what you are, and how to, like, one of the tools that I talked about, muscle testing, one of those, that tool, you can literally stand in your position and test for belief systems. And just say, like, is it easy for me to make money? And your body will go back. Is it easy for me to live an abundant life? Your body will move forward. If it moves forward, that indicates that it's yes, that you believe that, and that's ingrained with the subconscious. So you can test for cultural beliefs too, like, you know, whatever it is that you think you're having a problem with. The quantum technology is also testing and shifting those after we test, and then test again to make sure that it's cleared.
Right.
So understanding the energy to do that, and it's a really powerful process.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So Myrrh,
Could I add a note?
yes.
Could I add a note to this conversation? Because, you know, as a scientist and supporter of energy medicine worldwide, I think it is relevant to know that energy medicine is a little bit of a wild west. And for every fabulous technology that's well researched and well documented and well proven, there are a couple of you know, chaps on the corner with another version that may be a hollow box. And so this discernment in all things is applicable. And although I don't want to recommend any specific source, I think if you dive into our field, you know, there are some really solid landmarks. And of course, muscle testing is one of those incredible tools that therapists use to navigate the multidimensional reality. But I think we have entered a new era where we can integrate and actually have a sort of precision based system. So you know, Manisha, I've seen your eyes wide open, realizing how these tools can support you in your work. But let me tell you, there's nothing more exciting than actually having the exact individual information for the individual with you at that moment. So it doesn't become a broad brushstroke. It is a genuine, bespoke, stepping stone journey that we're able to hold space for. And that's obviously worldwide. And the beauty is we don't have to wait, because even in lockdown, as you experienced on your online moment, you know, this stuff happens at a distance. And even muscle testing, you know, I could muscle test you right now from here. One of the big issues that we have is dental. You know, dentistry is in the dark age, and many people don't realize how much this is an issue. Now, you can just put your finger on each tooth that may have a filling or a bridge or something in there, and Christian could muscle test you from here to work out which one needed to be worked on first. That's how precise we are, and we can prove it as well. So it's a game changer for healthcare. It's a game changer for wellness, and it aligns us with our consciousness, and that really is the important process. So here we all are. Let's knock it out the park.
There you go. I love, Dr. Thornton, how you bring this up also, because I think we have been so like disempowered by like things like allopathic medicine and whatnot, that we don't know anything about ourselves, and we're not to be trusted with our own bodies. And like you said, Dr. Thornton, here's the pill for this, and so on and so forth. So just really honing in on how intuitive we are and how intelligent we are and our body is, when we learn how to tune in, tap in, learn our own inner wisdom. And Myrrh, let's hear about the magic you do with sound and vibrational energy healing.
Can you hear me? There we
Yes.
are. Yes, man, it's been magic. It's magical. My first experience with energy was about 20 years ago, and it changed my life. It was right around, it was shortly thereafter September 11th when the huge light bulb went on, and it was like kaboom. And then I got it, I got it. But I want to share a story, first of all, that explains how I see and feel about energy. And it was shortly after I completed my training for the first modality that I learned. And I was able to go to Mount Shasta for a conference, and it was amazing. But I got to meet my mentor teacher to this day. His name is Randy Masters, and he is a phenomenal researcher and creator, and he's a musician, and he's a teacher, and he's just amazing. But he was lecturing on the music of the spheres, the music of the universe, and how that is a creational force. And he was playing tuning forks that he had created, tuned the frequencies of stars and planets. And he played one particular one, and my consciousness left my body. And I was out literally in the universe, as part of the universe, feeling everything that was going on. I mean, the stars and planets were outside of me, but they were also within me. The biggest thing that I experienced, though, that just blew my mind is that the universe, the divine universe, creates with vibration, with sound. There was a harmonic, there was an in-breath and an out-breath. And as it was breathing, I was breathing. And I looked around and I could see sparks going to and from planets and stars. And I realized that on the in-breath and out-breath, the souls were incarnating onto the planet or leaving the planets. And it was totally profound. I had studied sound and music and voice since I was a little child. And when I came back into my body and was able to process this, this experience, I realized, number one, the creational juice of the universe is love. There is no difference. Love and consciousness are the same. And when we bring that component into our work, the healing is exponential. And when we can share that with the individual that we're working with, to learn to work with that love, their healing, in my experience, is exponential. I'm kind of speechless. I'm still in that experience again. I like to go back there a lot.
You're off in the stars, huh?
I'm just going to stay up there, right? But I won't get any work done.
Is that 5D, by the way?
Probably is. Probably is. Yeah. But I think in my practice, it's because it's my own experience. I work more and more with women with trauma and with past trauma and adversity experiences. And one of the biggest things that we end up talking about is self-love. And so one of the things that I teach them to do is hum into those places, heart hum into those places where they just don't know what it is. You know, when they're in so much pain, they just don't know. And the reason I do that is because I've come to read several articles about how the human voice actually impacts our DNA. It impacts our DNA and impacts the cells. And when we're working with the frequency of love, we rewire ourselves. The trauma becomes less impactful. We learn to work with it from a different way. And we learn to, we can share it with others, as I did today, creating a container of love. So I really think that it's important that people know that, okay, for example, when we say to a friend, I'm sending you love, or I'm sending you healing, that's the same. It's the same thing. The same with a mother singing to a child. It's love. And I really feel that this is one of the biggest things that is missing on the planet right now is love and nurturing. We have to create a container. And because there is no time space continuum constraints, what I did the other night was I gathered with several of my friends and we created the sphere of nurturing through sound and love and intention. And we are, still trying to figure out how to get people to tap into that, but it's there. And I have several people who are going in there and charging it every day with intention and sound and bowls and everything. But I really think, that if we can tap into our hearts first before we respond to people, it would be a huge impact on individuals, that people are raw right now. We're, this whole conversation, it's about confusion. And so,
Mer, they train NBA basketball referees to hold, suck in for 3 seconds before they blow their whistle out.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. I think if everybody took on the before they responded, it would
go into your heart. What a possibility. Go into your heart and see what's there. Why is this tweaking me? Why is this pissing me off? I mean, what?
Yeah. It's something that's gotten triggered when we feel that surge. Something happened, like we've all been talking about this trauma, that's stuck in our DNA in our brain. Yeah.
Someone saying I'm humming and smiling.
Good.
So that it's profound. It's really profound. And I know what I was going to say. That when I'm working with women with trauma, and they're like, we're in deep, and I bring them in to their voice, and they're so hesitant, and it's like, this is not opera. This is not your grade school chorus where you said, please do not make a sound, but just mouth the words. People have had those experiences. This is about you loving your body, your soul, your heart. You're celebrating yourself. You're giving voice to what you're feeling. And when you do that, you get to see what's underneath it. It's kind of like the lock and key.
That is so powerful, because I find also in our culture that we've been so almost disenfranchised from our own body. And I know, but certainly for women, that many times we're subjectified as this body, that's sexualized and whatnot, and that makes it really hard to. And then we're supposed to do everything right and not make any mistakes, and so this is where all that programming comes in. So the whole thing of loving myself, who does that? yeah.
You gotta be on top of it, girl. You can't love yourself. You've got to just do it.
Can I jump in a little bit?
Yes, Terry, I was gonna come to you anyway. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I am so grateful for all the work that everybody's doing with the women, because agreed, we've got a lot of stuff to overcome. But one thing that isn't talked about very often is that energetically, we're shifting from a patriarchal society to a matriarchal society. And I am a single mother, they're just grown, but I ended up raising 2 boys, and it made me very aware watching them, their friends, the parents of their friends, and just society-wide. For me, there's so many people out there working with women, and justifiably so, but what I see is that the men get forgotten. And so shift of energy is so very confusing for men. We are healing the women, and that's great, so much progress, but now the men are really out of sorts, and they don't know, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? I watch it with young men, older men, my clients. A lot of them are men. And it's just this, they belong. There's a ton of trauma with men that doesn't rest.
There's a lot of sexual trauma with men
Put that
too.
out there as well.
Yeah.
Exactly,
I was raised in a
right?
Catholic school, and I was
Yeah.
in the 50s and 60s when all of that was coming out. I also work with men, not so much, but I work with a couple of men who are using some of my tools in their what is the men's group? It was just on the tip of my tongue. It's two national men's groups, and they're bringing those tools in to this. So yeah, I totally agree. My own personal lineage in my family needs a lot of work.
And one of the things also is how boys are being raised to be a boy. You can't show things, and oh my gosh, so we're making our boys, not allowing them to be human beings,
Right.
and then they grow up and then have to be these, like you can't be strong and have emotions all at the same time. It's either one or the other, and it isn't. To have relationships with this poor person who's been taught to be a robot, that work that way.
Mankind Project, that's what I was trying to remember. It's big. So I'm very excited about that. They're going to be using my e-workbook too.
Very good. And
so
Jen, actually yesterday, Jen, I didn't get to see it because I needed to meditate and prepare for this today, but I know you had somebody on who wrote a book about male
abuse. Yeah. I put that in the chat, and I also put the link to a phenomenal documentary by Ava DuVernay called The Mask You Live In that addresses it's one of the most powerful films I've ever seen, addressing exactly what we're talking about.
So
there you go. Ooh, well, we just have a couple of more minutes before we sort of wrap up and come together with some conclusions, some takeaways, some gold nuggets. Well, Terry, I thought maybe what, from your perspective, because I know you do a lot of energy work, obviously, and with regards to the 4 and 5D, a little bit, yeah. With regards to the 4 and 5D, and with regards to, because I've read research, but I love this, and this is why when this whole COVID virus thing happened, I did a 30-day meditation challenge to help raise people vibration and get out of it, and because there's research studies that have been done many times where when you have a group of people who don't even have to be in the same place, who meditate at the same time or pray, whatever, and that will reduce crime rates and accidents and arrests and all this stuff. Terry, what can we do to really make that happen on a global, consistent basis?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Feels all over. Yay.
Yes.
So yeah, there is so much of that. And I actually was part of some of the experimentation that has been done on a global aspect. And it's amazing how we would have people actually monitor what was happening, who were kind of cynical, which is great. I love cynics. That's fabulous because they have a balance. They're not just going to immediately take the placebo effect, right? And so when we see, when I say we, I mean kind of this group that I've acquired over the years, right? When we saw the riots starting to break out recently, phone tree, and we're still doing it. Hey, did you see such and such is going on? So and so. We, within the next, 5-10 minutes, as soon as we're able to, each one of us sits down and collectively sends healing to that area, calming. For me, I call it like a blanket of calm. And it is about emotional intelligence. This is what I've received when I do channelings from, we'll say from spirit, right? Whatever word you want to use, from the higher realms. Right now, the things that planet Earth needs is emotional intelligence, harmony, clarity, and love. Those are the 4 main things that if you want to just, you don't know necessarily what you can do, what you can do is sort of send those vibrations to whatever area you intend it to, right? And you can actually see shifts beginning to take place really pretty quickly when that occurs. And so people right now, I think, are feeling helpless, and they don't realize how much energy, if you're watching the, like in what, Minneapolis, when all that was going on, you know, the start of all of that, right? If you're watching that and just really focusing on the drama and the trauma of it, you're adding to that. You're fueling it. You don't realize it, but you are. And so instead, what I'll do is somebody will tell me this is going on, and I may click on a video to kind of connect with the energy, and I may just look on a map and say, this is where I'm intending my energy. And I send a blanket of calm, clarity, harmony, love, emotional intelligence, just bringing that in. Because honestly, when we send love to places, some people, as we know, love is a very supercharged energy. And so some people get hit with that love energy and it's too much. It actually spins them out into not a great place because it's too much. So if we just offer out these 4 different options, all we're doing is putting that out there for whatever they are aligning with that's going to assist them. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. That,
Right?
I would not have thought of that, that the love might be too powerful and
It's too much for some people. Yeah, you can actually create a
True.
lot of damage because it's too much.
wow.
And so offer out some different options. Basically, what you're doing is putting these different waves of energy out, right? That are all helpful. They're all solution oriented, but wherever that person is most comfortable aligning is where they may take part in all 4. They may go, wow, this is a great buffet. Let me have it all. Yay. And maybe like, you know, okay, wherever their consciousness is, they may align more with the harmony than the love. Love may freak them out.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know.
Yeah.
And so just kind of offering out some different solution oriented energies, but those are the ones that I've been given when I do channelings and my own meditations and things for what does the earth need right now. That's what I'm told. And so just letting people know that, you know, instead of focusing on the bad things that are happening in these different places, instead send your intention for the solution, offer out the energy of the solution to that place, and you will see changes. Now, I did want to speak to, is it Dr. White? Dr. White?
Yes.
Okay. I want to connect with you because I've for many, many decades worked with different communities, and nobody even has to know you're doing it. You can get a group together, or you can just do it on your own, whatever, and just send out some solution oriented energy to those areas. And sure enough, you will start seeing changes because you're offering the energy to the people, and the ones who want the change, it's like, it's that like attracts like, right? I'm looking for this, and we're lending that energy in, and they're able to take it and run with it, right? So it's a beautiful thing, and it's so simple. We can all do it. You don't have to be a grand master of anything. You can
That's what I was going to say.
to make a difference and hold that space.
Yeah.
Awesome. I have a weekly call. So I'll make sure that I'm clear that I'm hearing you correctly, because I have a weekly call and I talk about a lot of relevant issues on that call. And last night, like I said, we had almost 100 people on that call just from our community during this time. And
Nice.
so what I think I'm hearing you say is that with the work that you're doing, if you just by being on that call could release energy that would then
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, that's powerful.
And it is powerful. It's amazing. I mean, one person can make a difference, but if you have 100 doing it, it's huge, the difference that you can make. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So that I think that pretty much answered my other question, that you as an individual person, you don't need to have any training. You just have to pull up the harmony, clarity, emotional intelligence, and love, and that just intend it somewhere.
I teach my students to kind of see it like a rainbow, just
Yeah.
kind of like a cartoon. I have a cartoon brain. I'm like a big 5-year-old. So my kids are always saying I've got a cartoon brain, and they're right. So I just kind of see it almost as a rainbow kind of going to these different areas and swirling around these different areas and just kind of landing like pixie dust so that people can partake of whatever works for them.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's go ahead and do a closing thoughts from each person here. So Jen, what are some of your closing thoughts?
Oh. I'm
By the
not
way,
quite
I
as
just-
good a singer as Mirror, but yeah, I just actually put something in the panel. There's a really powerful book called The Circle of Eight, and it's about 8 people getting together. They've got science behind it, and Misha writing the same thing. You put those 100 people in groups of 8 and have them, once a week, every whatever, they work it out, really sending love, harmony to the world, and they can say where, right? They can send it to Uganda, they can send it, to Compton, wherever, right? But I'm just really, what my parting thought is, we're here right now at this time to help heal this world.
Mm.
Slavery's been going on for 650 years. It is not a new thing. And we can actually be the ones right now to alter that conversation. So that's really what I'm present to. And I invite everybody that's on with us right now, gonna listen to the replay, gonna share it. I invite every single one of you just to pause for a moment and ask the question, what am I committed to? And then what actions am I going to take to match that commitment? Like, who can I call? Who can I check in on? Do I need to say a little prayer? Do I need to, do I want to go reach out to one of these extraordinary energy workers? Like, just what is it? What one action can I take away right now today that'll make a difference? That's what I want to leave people with.
Be the change you want to see, right? Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. And we have somebody here, Corinna Iren. I totally butchered that name. This has been very informative. Glad to see more of these roundtable discussions. So we're going to have to do this again. Christian, closing thoughts.
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to touch on this because I think it's important for what we're going through right now. Just look at the landscape, what we're going through. And if you take a close look at that, you will definitely notice that we're going through this shift, a leveling up, so to speak. And what I wanted to focus on is this leveling up is moving into understanding energy, understanding what's possible, the bells and whistles of the universe and how those things actually work, and bringing it down into this 3-dimensional playing field, I guess you would say. But also, I want to call attention to what's happening to the old way. So we understand as a collective right now, look at, this is a huge signal to this. People pulling down statues. The statues are symbols of the old ways. This is the universe going through the cycle of destroying the old way to make room for the new way. Now, this could be a tricky situation because it could go into several different ways. One way could be more freedom. The other way could be less freedom. And I think where the panic is with people is like they're seeing this tyrannical force moving into this space because it understands its nature, and people are kind of panicking. And so what I like to say and hopefully bring attention to maybe on the next panel is that there are solutions in place right now that provide more freedom during this time of rapid change, the shift that's happening. And a lot of them come down to very specific technologies, a technology of freedom as opposed to imprisonment, entrapment, slavery, whatever you want to call that. So we're in a time right now that's very interesting where these technologies, like one, for example, would be cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency is a sovereign currency, meaning we no longer have to make a decision based on where we're at to exchange with each other. We can make a decision based on our personal belief systems and philosophies, ideologies, to exchange outside of what this system has created and is now destroying. So I just wanted to encourage people to look, to be aware of this as we move through this transition. And we can use things like quantum healing, energy healing, technologies of freedom, as opposed to technologies of the old world, the old ways that are not serving humanity anymore.
Beautiful. That's good to know that it's there, it's available, and we just need to know about it. So that's what a lot of my work is about, bringing things to light that might not be well known mainstream. So let's jump up to Dr. Mynisha, closing thoughts.
Okay, yes, I guess it's the coach in me, but these three words actually all begin with the letter P. Go figure. I'm all about the how to. And I wanted to leave the listeners with three things that we can do, action steps to move from this place. The first one is prayer and meditation, wherever place that you in. I think it's very powerful. And it's a force that can change things. And we mentioned earlier about perspective. You know, I think that is something that you have an opportunity to really sit in and really take control over and be the victor over how you're perceiving the things that are around you. And another thing is to figure out how you can participate in the possibilities. I believe that was Susan that talked about possibilities. How can you participate in that and what that looks like for you? And I think it's really, you know, a beautiful thing when you can open your mind by reading. I'm a huge advocate of reading. I love it. It's one of my favorite pastimes. You know, educating yourself, you know, communicating with other people that don't think like you, you know, stepping outside of your comfort zone, things like that. What can you participate that is outside of your norm, and so that you can shift into a new normal? I think those are the three things that I would leave with the listeners. And when it comes to work-life harmony and what it is that I teach, work-life harmony is not something that you get, you know, it's something that you create. And I'm more than honored to be able to serve in any way possible within the platform as we continue to collaborate with one another. So that's my 2 cents.
Beautiful, love it. All right, we'll do Dr. Thornton, and Susan Schutzer gets to round us off. Oh, you have to unmute yourself, Mer.
I always forget that. I had to take off my bug ears because they were hurting. I want to call attention to suggest to people that maybe they monitor their emotions. And that's because of the Schumann resonance, the system of frequencies on the planet, and how it's fluctuating so much. And the closer we can get to the norm, which I think is like 7.83, there is a website that you can go and look and see what those are each day. I think it's schumannresonance.com or something like that. But at one point in time, I think right about when George Floyd was killed, it was 85. The Schumann resonance, one of the frequencies was 85. And that just has a ripple effect energetically to everyone. So the more that we can monitor our emotions and diffuse the ones that are when we're pissed off or whatever, it just kind of is a ripple effect. The other thing too is suggesting that people gather their friends digitally and create a love-in. Let's go back to the 60s and create a circle of harmony, peace, love, joy, whatever. and with the intention that we send it out to the world. And hum. When you get onto a bus, hum. It doesn't have to be out loud, but you can hum internally, and you will notice that it will raise people's spirits when you intentionally say, this is for you. So that's my 2 cents worth.
There you go. Spreading that energy. There we go. Love it.
Thank you.
Dr. Thornton, closing thoughts.
Well, I mean, I do like simple mantras like Manisha, and one that's been kind of bouncing around my space has been, you know, how focused we can be with our intent. And what I mean by that, my 3 little monikers are: choose it, claim it, and own it. And I think that's important now, because, you know, there is so much stuff going on, and we need to make a choice. And in reflection of where we all are now, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're not in a place of bliss, because you have your vegetables growing in the garden, you are far enough away through nature for cohabitation safely with your neighbors at this time. You know, if you haven't already got your ducks lined up, we'll organize that. Get into that place. You know, I've heard quite a few people are talking about leaving the city, and maybe this is the time to leave the city and, you know, trade in your expensive house for some land to grow your food. And I think that's really the kind of choices that I'm speaking about. And I hope everybody feels that they still have all those choices in front of them, even though it might appear that they don't. Now, the other aspect obviously is claiming it. Now, it's one thing to choose something, but you've really got to be committed to it. And I think that's where, you know, integrity and, you know, authenticity come in. When you asked the question, Karen, earlier, and I'll try and be quick here, but when you asked the question earlier, you know, what are your passing thoughts, your final thoughts? Wow, this thing just popped straight into my head, and it was the 13 grandmothers. And I think it must be in honor of these amazing women on the panel with me today. But, you know, there's definitely an authenticity when we explore, you know, what our elders bring and carry down through the ages. And I think the 13 grandmothers give us that amazingly kind of full spectrum awareness from all the different cultures around the world: Native Americans, South Americans, Africans, you know, the culture they bring to the table. It's a really nice keel for this process of authenticity. And the other thing is that, you know, I often, you know, find myself doing research into healing. And there's a tendency that, you know, if the channel of trust is not completely open between the healer and the healee, that it'll be a bit like a car wash. You know, the car will look nice and shiny for a couple of hours, but boom, you know, there's soon mud all over that being again. It's allowed itself to descend back to its old disequilibrium. And so, you know, it's when you can really see or feel the kind of things Manisha was describing on her call, you know, and own that ownership, that really holds you in that new equilibrium, in that new space. And so, you know, I would encourage people to be discerning, to be authentic and find authenticity. And another word that Manisha mentioned was relevance. And I think everything we do has to be relevant as per Gaia's needs and how we can serve them. I mean, personally, I'll finish with this one statement, which is that, you know, when you study the human biofield and esoteric sciences, you learn about this thing called the silver thread or the silver cord. And it's a bit like the steel pole that connects the bumper car to the matrix that allows those things to move around and bump into each other. Now, it may well be a thread for many, but we have control over the aperture of that connection with divine source. And that to me is the kind of ultimate game and aim of humanity, is to show up and be plugged in and be able to act as a tool, a selfless, humble tool for that divinity to flow, because it's kind of, you know, the queues are forming. We've seen them in Kentucky. We've seen them all over the world, where they're queuing for unemployment benefit or queuing for free food. People are queuing up, and they don't need to. They can choose it, they can claim it, and they can own it.
That's powerful. So simplify really is a lot of it, and you know, a big piece of it. Susan, closing thoughts.
Yeah, closing thoughts. So I feel as though we've been doing our whole life. We've had a to-do list. Did you do your homework? Yeah. Did you get your things done? Did you do it all? Did you do your laundry? Did you do the shopping? Did you make dinner? We've been doing. We've been taught to do it all. And what if it's shifting into being? What if we all sat back and became the being, the energy, space, consciousness, and frequency of being? You're being the light. You're being the possibility. You're being love. So what I found is when people, you know, and you can just raise your hand. Yeah. So have you walked into a room and there's been a fight, but no one's talking? And you know that there's been a disagreement. You know, there's been an argument, but no one's had to say a thing. Have you ever had that experience? Like you
Absolutely.
knew that you knew. Yeah.
Yep.
You're reading energy. That's you being aware. That's you being conscious. That's you being. And we are shifting to the being. We are shifting out of doing and into being. So the more being of the higher vibrational frequencies, which is love and gratitude, they're the ones just below a God consciousness, that anyone that steps into your field and anywhere that you step into someone else's field, you will be directly impacting their reality. And so since everything's energy, I leave that to you, to be the energy, that which you'd like to see in the world. Thank you.
That is beautiful. So this has been just an amazing conversation. I want to thank all of you amazing men and women who are here. Thank you to the audience for tuning in. And as I think it was Jan was saying, please share with people that you know will have an interest, that this might be something that might lift them up, your friends, family, whoever it is that you feel need a boost, because that's what this was intended to be. And I have Danny Marie on here. She was saying takeaways: 1, prayer; 2, perspective; and 3, participate in possibility, create harmony where you are. And yes, and Susan, we were talking about being, this is one of the things that I talk with my clients about so much, is that, you know, that whole doing, that's part of our emotional constipation because we never stop and we tune in. And so that is a lot of the takeaway that I get from this discussion, was really, let's just breathe, because many times we forget we're not even breathing. So how are we supposed to even live and think, because there's no oxygen going to our body where we need it? So if we can stop, we can breathe. You know what? The laundry is going to be fine. The dishes are going to be fine. Our kids, if we have kids, they need our presence. Our friends, our family, our partners. need our presence. They don't, yeah, it's nice when the dishes are done and, you know, whatever, but it will be there. We get to it. So emotional intelligence. I love, Terry, what you were saying, that this is something everybody can do. You don't need any special training. You can just sit and bring on the blanket of calm, emotional, and send out emotional intelligence, harmony, clarity, and love, so that that is available, whichever it is that the person or the place that you're sending it to, whatever they need, they have that buffet table that they can grab that from. And hum. I love it. I love it. So, so much, and a lot of this stuff really is simple. We are intelligent. Our bodies are intelligent. We have cells that are intelligent, and we radiate all of this. Like everybody's saying here, we are energy. So, I want to just end with that, and again, thank you all for being here. I would love to do this again, but we will talk about that. And we have somebody who said that they want it again. So I want to send you off with love, clarity, emotional intelligence, and harmony. Yes. Have a wonderful rest of your day.